So I was thinking, I was at a estate sale a few weeks ago, and it was one of those estate sales where like everything in the place was like high quality. Yeah, nice stuff. Not a lot of stuff, but nice stuff. And one of the nice stuff things was the guy had a turntable, a nice stereo. Well, I'm assuming it was a guy. He wasn't there. Obviously, they're selling his house, so something happened.
I see.
But he had a really nice collection of albums, and they were like mint. I'm talking 60s, 70s, even into the 80s. Mint. Like, I don't even know how you play them. Maybe you never played them. I don't know.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
But the album covers were mint. The album, I mean, like, you might as well just have bought it brand new, right? So anyway, I wasn't going there for that, but obviously one of the reasons I was going there was for that. But the story goes, I get there and I go to the woman and I'm like, these are expensive. For an estate sale, usually you get albums for $4, $5, $6. Right. These were market price, like 20, 30, depending on the label, artist, And they had a couple there. They had a few there that I was still interested in. And I'm like, she's like, oh, you should have been here yesterday. I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, there was a lot of young people here, and they bought all the albums. Now, there was a good 50, 60 albums there when I was there, and that was a day later. So I'm thinking, oh, man, I should have been there yesterday because there must have been a lot of albums. She's like, these young, and it was all younger people, and they were paying top dollar for these albums because they're, crazy. And anyway, I got to me thinking, it's like, wow, I'm competing with 20-somethings at an estate sale for vinyl. Like, I've never seen that happen before. I've never seen that happen before where, where they're there first and they're picking up and grabbing this stuff. So, it makes you think. It's like, wow, this vinyl thing, it's getting to a point where it's pretty damn popular. Like, I'm never fighting with anyone over CDs at estate sales. It doesn't happen. Nobody even gives a crap about CDs.
They do not.
So it's like a whole different level of demand here.
Analog is very different from streaming music services, digital audio, even something like a CD where you have physical media. I think for a lot of people, just having a physical object, it kind of has some novelty or appeal to it. And CDs kind of give you a little bit more than you get with like buying an album on a streaming service or whatever, on some sort of music purchasing digital thing.
Well, it is tangible. That's one thing that people that have vinyl or CDs always said.
Well, and it works when the internet goes out.
Well,
it does, yes.
You don't. Correction, you don't need internet.
You don't need internet.
Yeah. In fact, you could even really technically, you could spin the record by hand.
Yeah, you could.
It's going to have a rather high wow and flutter, as they call it.
Victrola doesn't need power.
Well, that's true. That thing, you just got to keep winding it.
Yeah.
You need a monkey to wind it.
It doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't.
It's actually really very bad.
Yeah.
But there's no electronics.
Not at all.
Totally analog.
It goes from a steel needle and just acoustically amplifies it to a horn at the other end. There's no electronics.
It sounds like that too.
It sure does sound like that, yeah.
There's some novelty.
Sounds like a steel needle playing in a horn.
The fidelity is pretty awful.
Yeah.
And
it's spooky.
Yeah,
sounding
that's true.
It can be.
It almost sounds like ghostly music, like it's...
that's how everything sounded back in the day, I guess.
Like you just pulled it off a sunken ship or something.
Oh, yeah.
I guess the question is, if you were like listening to music like that in the 20s or whatever, would you want to have it sound like that now still? It's like, oh, this sounds too good. I want it to sound like it did in the 20s.
No, I think if that kept going, where the amplification in tubes didn't happen, I think they'd be improving on their horn technology.
Probably,
yeah. You would need to make smoother sounding horn.
It's got pretty bad bandwidth.
Yeah, that too. It's pretty narrow. Yeah,
it's all mids.
Yeah, pretty much upper mids.
Yeah.
Whatever travels through the steel needle better, And you think about though, if you wanted to tweak one of these out, like first I could think of you'd change the steel material. Like they did plate the needles back in these old Victrolas. Yeah. They plated them, like I know, like the ones that some of them are gold plated, which changed the sound. I mean, on the container you'd get. I got a container of them. They're up there, and back in the day, but they would have like a 5-pack of gold plated needles, and like technically you're only
gold plated steel.
Yeah, and you're only supposed. Well, it might have been gold over nickel over steel.
Yeah, right.
But the point is, they were gold, and they were considered top shelf, and supposedly I'm sure it did change the sound of what you were playing.
You
because,
don't have any?
Oh yeah, I got some.
You
Absolutely.
never tried them?
Well, I played it once, but I never really like sat down and figured out, what's the higher fidelity here coming out of a wood horn?
It sounds pretty awful, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's
right.
that
I
big of a
wasn't there,
deal.
but I'm like, oh, this is neat though. Just thinking that you're playing through a gold needle, just in itself, just makes you feel like it sounds better.
Yeah, maybe.
You know,
That is a thing. There's a lot of situations like that where I know I fall into this trap myself. I just like the way something's made or built or how it works. And so knowing that, it gives you a little extra novelty or flair there when you're using it because how the underlying technology or whatever works. So you get that kind of thing with analog and vinyl, and you don't have any of that really with digital.
Well, not only that, like the gold needles from these old Victrolas are so rare now that, like, you know, I might have paid $10 for a 5-pack or something like that. And technically, you're only supposed to play the needle once through one album and then throw it out. Because like back in the day, that you bought like 100-pack of steel needles and you would just like go through them like water because the records are so hard. These 78s were so hard, they would just like brutalize the steel needle.
Yeah,
the steel needle would brutalize the record too. So it was, you know, but I'm just saying, just think about what we could have done with a 78 had we tweaked out all the materials on a Victrola from the materials that the needle were made of through the arm, like we do now with modern turntables.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what do they do with turntables today?
Well, yeah, every nut and bolt you scrutinize, right? Weight and
what the materials of the tone arms, carbon fiber.
Yeah, well, usually aluminum
or aluminum. Yeah, I mean, but just through the whole process, how they're mounted, you know, the vibration control.
Well, I think the real thing, the novelty, as it were, with vinyl and the kids liking it, is you can see how it works, right? You can't see how your phone plays an MP3, right? But you can see how it's making music.
Right.
So it's got a novelty to it.
It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it's like it's just like, it's so simple.
Kinda. Yeah, it is like one of those things where it doesn't seem like it should work, but it works really quite well. I guess there's a little bit of interest there.
I mean, yeah, because like if you think, it's like essentially an antenna that can pick up all kinds of noise. It's like amplifying really, really small signals. So it seems like it should just be super noisy and everything, but...
Yeah. Didn't they put a gold record in one of the...
V'ger, yeah.
V'ger has it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Voyager, the first one. And what, the latest ones have more of a disc? CD, not CD,
laser disc.
Laser, yeah.
I don't know if they ever did laser disc.
Didn't they throw, I thought on one of these Voyager or one of these things they sent up in space, they put a laser disc in there. It was...
Yeah, isn't it like the same signal that's on the VHS?
Oh,
but optical? Something like that.
Yeah, it's like pits and stuff, and yeah, it's like the same kind.
I guess, yeah, but it's digital.
It's analog. Well, like then later they did add digital to Laserdisc as technology evolved and such. So
yeah,
it was both analog and digital.
That's wild. Like I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that there was a video analog format on a disc.
Well, yeah, because you would think it would have been like CD.
Yeah,
but nope.
Yeah,
it looks like a CD, and it works the same way as a CD.
Yeah,
but apparently it's analog information encoded on it rather than digital.
Those things, I don't even think you can barely find players for those things anymore. You don't see the discs anywhere anymore. I think
it was expensive.
Kind of gone. Yeah,
really? The only time I ever saw one was a library in 4th grade, I think. I think the library in 4th grade, they had one there. And I was like, what is this huge CD thing?
Yeah, I've never seen one. I've never seen anybody use one.
I've never owned one of those machines. So yeah, we've gone from basically
VHS
to DVD.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I think they were like $100
they were
for
expensive
the discs.
at the time,
I mean, they were huge discs, you know.
Right. So were the players.
And the availability of the media was pretty limited, I think. It wasn't anywhere near VHS.
But it's crazy when you think about it. I mean, we talk about analog and digital and, how everyone's streaming, and now the streaming has gone higher res and it continues to grow and all that stuff. But yet the demand is growing as well. Complete opposite, analog only, with needles playing, playing stereo music. Well, that's crazy.
I think that's pretty interesting, because what it shows is basically that it's not just streaming that's making people more interested in music. It's simply the fact that for whatever reason, more people than ever are interested in playing back music and audio. And so obviously there's a lot of people moving towards the convenience side of things, and they want to be able to easily play new stuff. they don't want to deal with the content and getting it. And
Well,
they're doing streaming.
You can't travel with your record player. So
Very impractical.
I mean, you
Yeah.
could.
Very impractical.
when I was a kid, I had a close and play.
Yeah.
And I actually closed up with a handle on it. You could carry it around.
Yeah, they still
So-
make. You can get them
Yeah.
portable.
So they did have that,
Record
although I
players,
wouldn't
yeah.
call that too portable.
Yeah, it's not that.
And I don't know
portable.
how well that would go through security at the airport nowadays, but probably wouldn't be a problem.
No,
They
probably
were
not.
just plastic. But
There's a handful of small artists that only release on vinyl and physical format. They don't even have CDs.
yeah,
So it's
I don't
clearly
blame
a
'em.
thing.
Nobody's buying them,
That's the reality,
So,
right? What do
yeah,
you do
right.
with the CD now?
right?
Cars don't even have CD players a lot of times now. Newer
It's true.
cars, a lot of times don't even have them. So where are you putting it in? You don't have a Walkman or something with a CD player.
Format's pretty much done.
I mean, if you
Yeah,
have a
you-
portable player that plays physical media, it's probably actually a cassette player.
yeah,
Saw
They're
that
more
once at a show.
common than CD players.
Yeah,
One
these
really?
days.
time, a guy brought a cassette player to a show.
yeah.
It's like, I want to hear what it sounds like through my cassette player. One time.
A portable cassette.
Yeah, it was a
player?
nice one. It was a
So what-
professional Sony.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we've had people bring in the DAT players.
Mhm.
Those were digital on tape, I
Yeah,
think.
right.
They recorded. It's kind of like the SAC, the Super VHD or what? No, the
VHS.
yeah, Super VHS, right?
Yeah.
Recorded the audio in digital on the tape.
Yeah.
And I guess the DATs were like that. They were pro recorders that took small, tiny little cassettes that, I don't know what the sampling rate on that was. It was probably 48K.
Yeah, probably same as
Yeah.
CD.
But yeah, that was, have seen people very rarely. Sometimes you'll walk in with a DAT player. Oh, back in the day.
Yeah.
Now you don't see that anymore because everything's on a stick, USB stick or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to do digital these days, there's better options than that.
Yeah, convenient,
Yeah,
portable.
just a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it really comes down to is most people use both. And that's the thing. For convenience, you use digital. And then when you're at home and you're like, all right, I'm going to actually listen to music, you'll break out the turntable.
Yeah. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
It's kind of like trying new things. I mean, I enjoy getting used records. I think I enjoy used records more than new for some reason.
Well, that's
because
probably why
they're-
you're competing with other people
Well,
that are doing
yeah.
the same thing.
Because you know why? Because the newer albums are like, they're newer. To me, they're not built to the same standard.
Well, it's not
You
that.
know?
It's just that it's just a crapshoot on new stuff. Like
Yeah.
we've seen some of the new stuff
Old
is
stuff
good.
too.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
But the new stuff, some
Yeah,
sounds
right.
good, some doesn't.
Yeah,
You
it's the
just-
same with the old. I
Yeah.
get stuff from the 60s and 70s. Some's good, some isn't.
Yeah.
But it's way cheaper to experiment
Yeah,
with
it could be
$5 albums.
or like two.
But the reality of it is most of them are just going to sit there, and collect dust over time. But maybe not. I mean, maybe one day I'll find what I'm thinking on doing is getting a second cartridge for my turntable, one that's not so good, that's just kind of softens things, and then I will have a pile of records that cartridge works really well
a
with.
sacrificial cartridge.
Well, yeah, kind of like
this,
that.
This
yeah.
is my
It just has a
dirtier
totally different tonality. It's
Yeah.
not about resolution.
Yeah.
It's about playing through grunge real smoothly.
Mhm.
And they're out there. And obviously a lot of cartridges are actually in the lower end are like that. And bottom line though is that that's probably what these kids are using anyway. I doubt if most people are running $5,000-$10,000
Probably not.
Kyotos. They're probably running standard cartridges, and that's why they're able to enjoy a lot more of the older stuff that's playing through scratches and stuff. But anyway,
Probably.
yeah. But anyway, this whole analog versus digital thing is kind of fallen by the wayside at this point. You think about it because
Well, it's not a contest anymore. They're
Yeah.
different formats, and they
Yeah.
have different advantages.
right and disadvantages, and they're both cool. And
Yeah.
that's cool right there. I mean, that's all that could be said about it. It's no longer a contest. You're right.
Pretty much.
So
Well, I guess that wraps it up.
yeah, it's a wrap.
Yeah. Well, you could let us know what you think about that in the comments below. Maybe use analog out there. Sure, there's a lot of people that have a bit more experience than we do with this.
Yeah.
Occasionally, we talk to people at shows that have been using analog for 50 years, and they tell us all about the benefits and how it's amazing in,
In
every
fact,
way.
please in the comments tell us what you are using. We'd love to hear what
Yeah.
you're using for turntables because we really don't know. We just don't hear that from
You really don't hear
people.
from people
No.
with their turntables.
No,
So.
it's always about
That's
everything
less
but.
common than digital.
It'd be cool to know. So let us know.
If you have a future question for an episode, you could email to us at totl@abyssheadphones.com. Maybe we'll answer it on a future episode. And stay subscribed to see more content like this. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and take care, guys.
Peace.